Nang pagkakataon nakapasok ako ng ALA, kinuha ako bilang janitor or utility at tagalinis ng mga gym. Habang nagtatrabaho ako dati, gusto ko talaga magboxing at saka magiging professional kasi after the work, talagang nagsisikap na ako na kahit ako lang mag-isa, saan magja-jogging kami mga 5 o'clock, tapos kami mga 7. Kasi pag 8, trabaho na ako eh. Pag sa gabi, mga 5 training namin, mga 1 or 2 hours lang yung training namin. So ngayon, nakamit ko na yung mga, so talagang sobrang happy talaga yung nararamdaman ko ngayon.
And now let's go to ring announcer Joe Martinez for the official introductions.
And here we go, ladies and gentlemen, from the fabulous Forum, Inglewood, California, the co-main event of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing this scheduled for the vacant WBO Super Flyweight Championship of the World. Sanctioned by the WBO, the supervisor in attendance, Richard DeCure. And your 3 judges scoring at ringside, Max DeLuca, Robert Hoyle, and Daniel Sandoval. When the action begins inside the ring, your referee in charge, Jack Reeves. Introducing to you first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black and gold, he weighed in officially 114 1/2 pounds. In 26 professional bouts, his record, 24 victories, 2 defeats, 20 big wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the WBO Intercontinental Super Flyweight Champion from Baguio City, Philippines, Mighty Aston Paligte! And across the ring stands his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, wearing tonight purple and silver. He weighed in officially 114 3/4 pounds. This veteran has 41 victories, just 1 defeat, 4 bouts even, and 23 wins coming by way of knockout, presenting the former 3-time, 3-division world champion from Bacolod City, Philippines. Here is the Snake, Tony.
Yes, this guy. Am I following your command? Right here. Okay, gentlemen, you both acknowledge that you understand enough English to follow my commands, and I expect you to do so. Protect yourself at all times. Fight hard, fight clean. Good luck to both of you. My man.
Nietes is in his mid-30s, which is very old for a lighter weight fighter. But if you, your friends, love seeing a master boxer, guys just nice with his, you like watching Terence Crawford or Lomachenko or liked watching Floyd or Purnell back in the day, call your friends now, tell them Nietes is fighting.
And in any weight class, Andre Ward, and we've seen this throughout the history of boxing, if you're going to have an exceptionally long career, whether you're talking about a heavyweight like George Foreman or whether you're talking about a 115-pound fighter like Donnie Nietes, have craft. If you're going to have a really, really long career, the way to do that is know what you're doing in the ring and reduce it to a science and pursue that diligently every day.
Yeah, Nietes has done that, and the proof is in the pudding. He's currently on a 14-year winning streak. He's the longest reigning Filipino champion, not Manny Pacquiao, Donnie Nietes, and that is for a reason. He's in this fight tonight with a bigger, stronger, younger guy. So it's going to be interesting to see him pull his, tricks out of the bag, so to speak, and put his craft on display to offset the hard-charging Paligte.
Yeah. On the surface, if you were from all other sports and you didn't know anything about boxing, you might walk in and say, oh, this looks like a physical mismatch. But of course, in boxing, there are ways to use a guy's length and height against him, and that's what Nietes is likely to be showing us in the coming rounds.
But mid-30s, as I said, it's ancient for this weight class traditionally in boxing. And one day, he's going to put the pedal to the metal, and nothing's going to happen. And Paligte is a long fighter, a very big guy for the division, much younger, and a power puncher. So Nietes has to be careful, but he is so relaxed in there, and he has every tool in the toolbox. He has a complete arsenal as a boxer.
I don't think, based on our fighter meeting yesterday, that Nietes is bothered by the reputation or the punching power or the size of Pelekte. He basically told us that this is an easy style for me. But we'll see.
Well, and he's well aware of Pelekte. He's been watching him for years, as he told us. He said, oh, no, he's from my province. He's a friend of mine. We're still going to be friends after the fight also. So, you know, it's the kind of thing where Jan Nietes sees this as being well within his professional envelope, the kind of thing he thinks he knows how to do. But Max's point is quite correct. For everybody, there's a moment when you show up and suddenly you find you're off the diving board, and nobody knows it before the moment arrives.
Right, and it doesn't always happen overnight. Sometimes we do see a guy grow old overnight, but I would say the majority of the time you kind of see the writing on the wall, and we haven't seen the writing on the wall from Nietes in his last previous fights. He still seems to be sharp. He's a young 36. If the reports are true, he stays in the gym. His lifestyle is clean. And if you're going to have longevity in this sport, you have to live right outside of the ring. So when you get inside the ring, that shows.
And, of course, somewhere promoter Roy Jones Jr. is watching and saying, you watch, guys. Tonight is the night. I know my guy is ready to pull off the big upset in this one. Referee Jack Reese signaling the end of round number 1. I mentioned him at the beginning of the first fight as one of the top referees in California. Had an awful lot of Andre Ward assignments in his career.
That's a good guy.
Okay.
Mora na. Sige lang, tuslok, sige lang.
Just continue.
Tuslok lang.
Just
Kuhanan mo siya.
drink.
Bantayo lang yung straight mo, bantayo yung labyo kay itaas lang yung kamot mo.
Yeah, raise your
Bantayo
hand.
yung labyo, okay?
Okay, raise your
Focus,
hand.
tanaw niya, wala sa dapit siya. Kailangan kini ang job mo, importante na.
It's just important. It's important. Just raise your hand.
Go, seconds out, mouthpiece in.
Yeah, I will never forget Jack Reese, Andre Ward, calling a halt to your fight with Edwin Rodriguez and making it look for all the world as though it was an even-handed lecture to both sides on not allowing fouls to ruin a real prize fight. But we know he was really talking to Rodriguez at that moment, and he laid down the law in an extremely effective way.
Yeah, Jack pretty much threatened to take our purses. I don't know if I've ever heard a referee do that in a real prize fight. I love Jack, but I wasn't trying to hear it in that moment. I was trying to get my respect from Rodriguez, and I did. I was able to calm him down, kind of tame him, so to speak, so I can get back to boxing.
Round 2 between Aston Pelekte with the long arms, great height for this division.
Like really long, like just a really long fighter for the division. You can see Nietes thinking he's out of punching range and at times being touched a little bit, which he's not used to, from a range where he must be thinking he shouldn't be able to hit me from out there.
Yeah, but if we just see these two straight right hands that Nietes just landed, he just got hit with the right hand.
Yeah,
you see the right hand that he landed to the body, he was able to land those shots and get out of the way. So Nietes has shown that he's a master of distance and range.
Hard right hand right up the middle by Donnie Nietes.
Yes, clearly that is true what you said, Andre. I just that he's been hit kind of cleanly more often than we're used to seeing early from a guy who you might not expect it from, who doesn't seem to be on his skill level and yet can hit him from so far away.
Again, but we can't shortchange the strength. Like Pelekte is very, very strong. He's physically imposing. So Nietes, in order to box and tame this young man, he's going to take some shots.
Moments ago, Pelekte drove Nietes' left glove directly into his face, demonstrating he could overpower Nietes' guard and hit him with his own glove, in effect, because of the power of his stroke.
Kind of swatted his guard away.
Pelekte is just missing that straight right hand.
And Donnie Nietes would say, yeah, but he's missing it.
Pelekte, yeah, he is missing it, but he's getting closer. But Pelekte, he doesn't have another way to throw it. He's going to throw it like that the whole fight, and that's the downfall for a puncher like him.
The thing about Nietes is he's fearless. You know, you think about a great defensive fighter, and there, I think, is a misconception. In boxing, it's called being a scary fighter, like you're scared to get hit. But in fact, the great defensive fighters are the fearless ones who don't. It's no big deal. You know, they're just plying their craft.
Well, I mean, I fully expect to see Nietes stepping inside of Palikte's power, you know, and essentially daring him, saying, you know, go ahead, try to hit me. I can find you from inside here while you can't find me.
Running and holding is not great defense, but doing what Nietes is doing.
Hard right hand by
But what Andre used to do, what Floyd did, that's great. Purnell, that's great defense. You're in punching range, you're out of punching range. Your eyes peeled on your opponent, not holding, not running, boxing.
September 19. Tune in for another edition of the Fight Game, airing 4 days after the rematch between Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin. Fight fans will get in-depth highlights and analysis of the big fight. Bernard Hopkins will tell you what happened technically. Plus, don't miss a special feature about the close relationship former heavyweight champions Evander Holyfield and Riddick Bowe have developed 25 years after their memorably violent trilogy.
That's speed. Just raise your hand.
Here we see the crafty Nietes throwing a little prodding jab, and he comes behind it with the right hand. That may not seem like much right now, but if Palikte doesn't make the adjustment, that shot landed a few rounds from now could be the end of the fight.
And by the way, slipping Palikte's right hand at the same moment that he landed his own right hand. So that was James Toney-esque in effect. You know, that he...
It's funny you say James Toney because he's done some things. Toney wasn't as bouncy on his feet, but he has some kind of calmness to his defense that Toney had, with no wasted movement in order to make his opponent miss the punch.
We're in the second of the 3 fights on our Superfly card here at the Forum in Los Angeles. 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Pacific Time. You're looking at Donnie Nietes, longtime titleist in the 115-pound division. Or a longtime titleist at 108 and 112, I should say. Trying to become only the 3rd Filipino to win world championships in 4 weight classes, joining Manny Pacquiao and Nonito Donaire. And Nietes has a very interesting technical challenge tonight against a longer-armed, seemingly stronger, 9 years younger opponent in Aston Palikte. And Nietes so far is showing you how craft can deal with physicality in a fight like this.
Craft, skill, experience, and the right lifestyle outside of the ring.
And by the way, discipline, because it's one thing to know what to do, and it's another thing to make your body go do it. It's not easy when those shots are coming from a big guy with a long range and real punching power to get inside and not sweat it and not hold and use your angles and continue to punch.
But that sequence in the last round that you and I were talking about, Max, the throwing the jab to hide the right hand, delivering the right hand straight up the middle right behind it, and casually ducking the right hand coming back almost as though it was just a natural part of the same movement. That was James Toney to me.
Right, because he knows what the combination's going to be. He's already anticipating it, and because of that, he's calm. And he can see, and if the opponent makes an adjustment, because he's calm, he can also make the adjustment.
Perfect lead left hook by Donnie Nietes, and he steps away to a place where Palikte can't find him even with his long arms.
Actually a good shot from both men. Palikte's landed harder.
Okay.
Some heavy leather being thrown by both men right now, but I would venture to say that Palikte's throwing his just to be throwing his. He knows he's strong and he's letting his shots go. Some are landing, some aren't.
Which is the right thing for him to do.
That's what that's who he is. Nietes is setting his shots up. He's intentionally trying to land certain shots in certain places.
Palikte ain't gonna box him. He wants to catch him hard at the end of a big shot.
Smile on Palikte's face as he goes back to his corner. Trying to enjoy his work. 3 rounds into this.
Can you hear it?
12-round fight.
Okay, everything's good. Look, concentrate on your jab. Concentrate on your jab.
Importante na kay counter.
It's important to counter.
Tanawa gid sa kayo, tanawa. Tutok sa kayo, tutok.
Just target it and keep on targeting it.
Kalit-kalit siya kay di nakabot yung box nato lang pero bantay ka ha.
Just guard.
Apitat gahay kayo. Gahay ano? Tik-tik lang ha. Okay.
Just keep on jabbing.
CompuBox numbers through the first 3 rounds tell us that both fighters are fighting their fight. Palikte coming in as a low percentage guy. He lands only about 20% of his punches. He's landed only 14% of the punches he's thrown tonight, but he's thrown a lot more than Nietes, who lands at a higher percentage and is doing so in this fight. Harold Letterman, our unofficial ringside scorer. How do you have it through the first 3 rounds, Harold?
Okay, Jim, I got a 29-28, 2 rounds to 1, Donnie Nietes. Jim, I thought Donnie Nietes outboxed him in rounds 1 and 2, but I thought that Palicete, what's his name, Palicete?
Palikte.
Came back real nice in round 3, and I thought he won that round. 2 rounds to 1, Donnie Nietes.
2 rounds to 1, close fight on Harold Letterman's unofficial scorecard as we go to the 4th round. Donnie Nietes, 36-year-old veteran in the purple trunks. Aston Palikte, 9 years younger, in the black trunks with gold trim.
I mean, Palikte is finding Nietes kind of easy to land on this round, Andre.
Palikte's having moments for sure, but I don't get the sense that Nietes is rattled in the least bit. He knows that he's going to take some shots again to cut down this tree, so to speak. This is a young, strong guy.
No, he does not seem rattled, but it doesn't change the fact that he is being hit.
He's being hit, but I guarantee you he's also trying to run Palikte into something, not just taking shots for the sake of taking them. Too much experience in that ring right now from Nietes to not be thinking like that.
But he's not been as offensively active in this round as in the 3 preceding rounds. Now he lets a right hand go.
At this level of the game, the difference between, you know, just a real good pro and a master is the master has a plan. And he does everything in service of that plan. All his tactics are in service of his strategy, and certainly that applies to Nietes.
I wonder if a part of the plan is to take the 4th round off, because he just hasn't been nearly as active offensively in this round and seems to be conserving energy for later in the fight right here in round 4.
It's a veteran move to take a round off. And for those that don't know, it's when a fighter takes a round off, you're not throwing as many punches. You're still trying to be as defensively responsible as possible. You know you'll probably lose the round. In the exchange that you'll have more win for the next round.
Meaning he's planning something maybe a little bigger for the 5th.
Well, you talked about a game plan for the veteran. Nietes is certainly trying to take the younger fighter deep. He's only been 10 rounds twice and 12 rounds once. That's not lost on Donnie Nietes.
Either he has taken the 4th round off, or something Palikte has done has caused him to want to be a little bit more conservative and keep his hands at home. But Donnie Nietes simply hasn't thrown many punches in the 4th round compared to what happened in the 3 preceding rounds.
Impressive round for Palikte. Didn't hit him a ton cleanly, but he won the round.
And there's Juan Francisco Estrada, who is the star fighter in the main event against Felipe Urucuta, much less well-known Mexican fighter, both of them from Mexico. Estrada, who lost a close decision a few years ago to Roman Chocolatita Gonzalez, lost an extremely close decision to Srisaket Sorunbisai on the last Superfly triple header. And there's Urucuta, who gets a chance to take on Estrada and try to totally redevelop his own reputation and resume tonight in the main event. And there's a look at downtown Los Angeles. The traffic streaming through on the 101. And skyscrapers of the downtown business district surrounding us as we are at the fabulous forum in nearby Inglewood for World Championship boxing action on this Boxing After Dark triple header. Harold Letterman gave the 4th round to Palikte, and again, by my lights, it appeared that Nietes either took the round off or for some reason wasn't willing to be active against Palikte's big power shots. And there's a straight right hand by Nietes after a series of jabs and crosses by Palikte. And there's another quick right hand inside.
I mean, Nietes just landed 2 clean right hands. And to Andre's point from the previous round, seemed to have a plan to plaster Palikte with some real stuff this round, at least early on.
Well, I'm sure that's part of it, Andre. You said it's a smart move for a veteran fighter to take a round off. Probably the continued smart move is to come out in the next round and land some thunder in the first 30 seconds.
Yeah, he's not only landing it, but I love the way he's landing it. He allows the younger fighter to get overconfident. Nietes will roll off the ropes, and he'll come back with not just an average right hand, but a big right hand. He'll circle around the ring. He'll kind of plod around. You think he's not doing much, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, another big right hand lands, and the younger fighter still looking at Nietes like a deer in the headlights. He has yet to make the adjustments to get out of the way of the right hands of Nietes, and that could prove to be trouble down the road.
But Palikte is already showing stuff that Nietes has to go to that degree of subtlety in order to overcome him, or try to.
Hard right hand by Nietes momentarily stunned Palikte. Palikte shaking his head as if to say, I'm not hurt. Usually that means you got buzzed.
It's not quantity with Nietes, it's quality punches.
For sure that. I mean, you compare this to Palikte's success in the previous round. Mostly deflected, mostly partially blocked punches. And Nietes' shots are so clean.
Nietes came out with a whole different look on his face here in round number 5. It was clear this was a different form of business.
He had that round off, Jim. Got fresh legs this round.
Stop, nobody punch. Step out, Danny. Box.
Fascinating.
Master boxer, Johnny Nietes. Palikte is still in the fight, but you have to acknowledge the subtleties of Nietes and what he's doing to the younger fighter right now.
Yeah, the nuance of his skill. Nietes is not only very technically skilled, but also very experienced. So knows how to apply the technique.
It's like a major league pitcher. The first time through the lineup gives you all fastballs and sliders, and the second time through the lineup, nothing but curves and changes. It's the same kind of thing.
That's exactly right.
Time.
September 25, the next Real Sports profiles Dale Earnhardt Jr., now beginning his second act as a racing broadcaster.
Wash your face. Wash your face. Go to your left or right. Just keep on the jab. And go up and down. Straight jab.
Jab, straight hook, up there. Jab, straight hook, overhand.
Fresh off of Donnie Nietes taking a round off. He gets hit with a short right from his opponent. He rolls off the ropes, and he comes back with a monster right hand to the chin.
Ducking the left hand in return. And
here we go again. He slips the jab, gets hit by the right, but lands a bigger right of his own, and followed by a left hook that got the attention of his opponent.
And just to underline our point, Andre, Nietes landed only 8 punches in round number 4. That was his low for the fight. He landed 29 in round 5. That was his high for the fight. So you and I were correct. He was banking one round to stoke his energy, so to speak, and then come back and fire away in round number 5. So now Palikte has to respond to that and try to regain psychological momentum after having been swamped in the 5th round.
Then a really experienced fighter makes what's called muscular moves, meaning it accomplishes more than one thing at a time. So you take a round off, you save energy. You also make your opponent overconfident, and he is tattooing Palikte right now.
It's almost like an evil game Nietes is playing with Palikte. He takes a round off, conserves his energy, doesn't take too much punishment. He takes a few shots, but not too much. He gives the young fighter false confidence, and then he steals it back over the next 2 rounds.
And you see the value of having a subtle, sophisticated style. Donnie Nietes is 36 years old. So as a 36-year-old fighter, he uses everything at his disposal, including the strategic ploy of taking a round off, changing the psychological context of the fight, then coming back and swamping his opponent with 29 landed punches in the next round.
And setting him up, you know. That's a trip.
That's a trip. A 36-year-old power fighter like Gennady Golovkin doesn't have that available to him. He has to be the same guy in every round, and he has to try to bring the same intensity at age 36 that he used to bring at 27 or 28. It's not as easy for Golovkin to be great at 36 as it is for somebody with the approach of a Donnie Nietes.
You're absolutely right. That's not Golovkin's game. His game is to seek and destroy for better or for worse. So as he ages, you're going to see the age on him more than you would a Donnie Nietes.
Right, and part of that's like the curse of the gifted. When you can punch like Golovkin, there's not as much incentive to develop the kind of skill that Nietes has. By the way, another advantage, how muscular the move is taking that round off. You also see what your opponent is doing offensively. You can time him, understand what he reacts to and how he throws his offense.
And I'm often enamored by the fighter who has the patience. Ooh, good shot from both men.
Really
both
good.
Guys landing right hands there solidly. And in fact, I think Paliktes took a little bit more out of Nietes because that was a big shot.
The round off has always enamored me because that's something I never perfected in my career. I never had the patience to take a round off. I wanted to win every second of every round.
Well, if you ever come back, Andre, you'll have to fold that into your repertoire.
I have to. A little bit older, more miles on me. It's something I got to implement if that ever happens.
Well, you know who to study. I mean, you know, Sonny Liston aged and fell off the diving board. Archie Moore never did. If George Foreman had tried to fight in his second career the way he had in his first career, he wouldn't have gotten anywhere. He had to be a completely different kind of fighter, and he was.
That's right.
Okay. We need to keep this right, gentlemen, including his back and all that. Round 7 coming up.
Importante na to atong quick.
This is important now. It's quick.
Uy, ang imo laging kamoto sa laging kumudungan ka net straight ba? Dali.
Just keep on the straight hip. Concentrate on the straight hip.
Umatras ka, makan sita.
When you back up,
Pero kinahanglan ha. Uy,
that's okay.
Both fighters had a vicious exchange in the center of the ring where Palikte and Nietes landed monster right hands on the chin of both guys. It looked like Palikte got the slight edge in the reaction of the right hand, but time will tell.
But look who came back with the left hand. It didn't land, but it was Nietes who kept those hands moving.
Both guys have great chins because they've both been hit flush throughout this fight.
Let's check in with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman. Harold, how do you have it between Palikte and Nietes after 6?
Okay, Jim, I got it 4 rounds to 2. 58-56, Donnie Nietes. Jim, it's a very close fight. These guys are really fighting close rounds. I gave rounds 3 and 4 to Aston Palikte. But other than that, I thought that Donnie Nietes won rounds 1, 2, 5, and 6. So it's a close fight, 4-2, Donnie Nietes.
The reason Palikte is, I think, giving a very impressive performance here is take that right-handed exchange, guys. That is the way Palikte can win the fight. He's not going to outbox Nietes, but if he can engage in some exchanges where they both land power punches, he has a chance to knock him down or knock him out.
Yeah, I think he's going to have to knock Donnie Nietes out because he doesn't have the rounds under his belt. He hasn't fought the level of competition. Good right hand from Nietes.
Another right hand right on the jaw by Donnie Nietes.
And Palikte tends to fade. So, again, he's not going to outbox him just like you said. He's not going to out-hustle him. He's going to have to land the big shot if he's going to get his hand raised.
But we've seen him put himself in the position to win the fight. Because even in that exchange of right hands, he could have ended the night with that right hand. It could have happened.
Absolutely.
And it was interesting. I mean, you said they were both on the jaw, Andre, but the fact was, if you look back at that replay, Donnie Nietes landed right on Palikte's jaw, but because of the difference in height, Palikte hit Nietes between the eyes, above the nose, and sort of on the forehead. And, you know, traditionally, the jaw is where you want to land to do the most potential damage. Nietes was able to take that shot onto his forehead.
Yeah, you can get hit between the eyes, and that may not put your lights out, but it can put you down for sure.
Shorter fighters especially, who are used to having to get inside, whether they're pressure fighters or fighters who dart in and out, learn to keep the chin tucked. Because if they keep that chin up in the air, they generally don't last very long on a world-class level.
Here's something that will be interesting to me as the second half of the fight progresses. Will Nietes give himself the luxury of one more round off? And if so, when will he do it?
Now he's got Palikte saying that shot didn't do anything, which usually means he didn't like that shot very much.
This has not been an off round. Ytes has tried to outland Palikte in this round, and by the way, by CompuBox numbers, he's doing so far here in the 7th. I'm thinking if he's going to take another one off, it'll be the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, somewhere along in there, and try to set himself up for a big finish. Next Saturday night, it's finally the rematch we've all been waiting for. Canelo Alvarez versus Gennady Golovkin. Triple G. Their first meeting ended in a highly disputed draw. This time, both men say they won't leave it up to the judges. That's September 15, only on HBO pay-per-view. No rounds off in that one.
Your hook. Remember your hooks. Just keep on focusing on your hooks, okay? Yeah. Understand that? Yeah, just keep on. Continuous. Just 2, all right? Here.
Seems to be a lot of voices talking in the Ytes' corner, and he seems to be paying attention to all of them.
What does he mean by focus on the hook, Andre? Why do they want him focusing on the hook?
I don't know the why, but that's clearly the what. They feel like the hook is something that is, I'm sure that's something they probably worked on in training camp, and that's something that the coaches have identified tonight that could be a great punch for Nietes to land.
His money punch has clearly been the straight right hand so far in this fight.
Now, I could see Nietes throwing the right and cleaning everything up with the hook. That makes more sense.
But what they were saying was, if I heard it correctly, is focus on the hook, 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 hook. It seems like, as Jim said, the straight right hand has been his money punch.
There it is again.
Maybe they don't want him in an exchange of straight right hands, and they think the hook will have him moving clockwise outside of the Palikte's right hand.
It's possible, but Nietes is such a veteran where he knows how to process information. He knows how to chew up the meat and spit out the bones. And use only what he wants to use.
Great phrase.
If you're Palikte, it would serve him right to use his jab a little bit more and to stop loading up with all of his shots. Take a page out of Nietes' book, throw some shots to set up the bigger shots. And if you're Nietes, you got to pick your jab up. Nietes has a great jab. He hasn't used it tonight. Good right hand right there, as often as he typically does. That would serve him well against the taller fighter.
I don't know if it's Nietes' age.
Don't do it. Good.
Or the weight division they're competing in and the size that Palikte has, or Palikte's own quality as a fighter. But by this point in the fight, guys, I was anticipating that it would have been more of a performance by Nietes, and whether or not Palikte was still in the fight, it would only be a matter of time. And that's not what I'm seeing here right now. I see a still competitive boxing match where Palikte is dangerous.
Yes, dangerous. I think you can absolutely see that Nietes believes he still has something to worry about, still has something to be concerned about, but he also still has the awareness and the presence of mind. For instance, when he wants to land a straight right hand, he takes that extra step and gets a half step closer and makes sure that he's going to be in the right position to do it.
He's winning the fight. But Palikte's performance is exceeding at least my expectations. I didn't expect him to be in the fight to the extent that he is by the 8th round.
No, I agree with that. I thought Nietes would probably have more control than he has now, but the young fighter is putting up resistance.
Yes, he is. That's why it's an impressive performance.
Well, I think to a certain degree, it's like detonating a bomb. You know, it takes a while, and you have to be careful every step of the way. Nietes is trying to detonate a bomb here.
Or defuse one.
Yes, diffuse it. That's exactly right.
Step away from each other, let him go. Step back. Stop at the bell.
Better way to say it. Diffuse it. And there's Cecilia Brækhus, regarded by some as the #1 woman fighter in the world. Recently fought at the StubHub Center here in Carson, California. And looking, I'm sure, for another big American appearance lives in Norway. And obviously, a part of her cachet is that in addition to being a great fighter, she is spectacularly beautiful as well.
Raise the hand. Raise the hand. But wait. Just keep on. Overhand too. Overhand and hook. Overhand and hook. Remember that.
And related to what both of you have been saying about Aston Palikte and the challenge he's putting up tonight against Donnie Nietes, coming into this fight, Nietes' last 8 opponents were averaging 8.7 landed punches per round. Palikte is averaging 12 points landed per round. So he's getting more done than most Nietes opponents have been able to do in recent years, landing more punches and thereby creating more of a threat, because a lot of them are big power shots on which he's loading up and trying to hurt Donnie Nietes. So Nietes has a lot to deal with here, but nevertheless, he's dominating the punch stat numbers, landing more punches, and from a general standpoint appears to us to be winning the fight, but it's not an easy win for him so far.
And Nietes needs to stay away from that leaping left hook. Every time he does that, he gets nailed with a straight right hand.
And here's another perfect example of Nietes taking the extra step to get closer and make certain he lands the straight right hand.
The question is, are we starting to see signs of age on Nietes? The sample sizes in boxing are so small. It's not like a baseball team you're going to see tomorrow or a football team you'll see in a week. You won't see these guys again for several months at least. So it's hard to tell. But is it Nietes starting to show some signs of age? Is it Palikte's quality or his size? Is it a combination of those things? And that all that said, of course, Nietes is clearly winning the fight.
Still a lot of fight left.
Palikte is not producing as much punch output now as was the case in some of the earlier rounds. So he's giving Nietes more time to walk around, look at him, pick his spots here and there. It's getting a little bit easier for Nietes as Palikte is not providing the constant torrent of big punches that put Nietes more under threat in the early rounds.
Palikte doesn't have a lot of experience, like we said earlier, down the stretch. So I don't care how good training camp was, that's weighing in the back of your mind.
9th round of the scheduled 12.
Let's see, Palikte, just by moving those hands and keeping Nietes on the end of his punches, is able to land here and there and make Nietes really work to get those points back, essentially. You know, like just as I was saying that, Palikte landed 1 or 2 clean shots, 1 or 2 block shots, partially blocked shots. Now Nietes, another jab, driving Nietes back. Nothing much, but it's enough that Nietes now has to really work to get that back in this round.
Yeah, but right after that, those few punches that Palikte landed, Nietes landed a monster right hand and tried to end the fight with the left hook. I think Nietes is no longer trying to outpoint this young man. I think he's trying to knock him out.
And by the way, guys, I asked the question earlier, would Nietes take a round off? I think he just did it. And I think he actually won a round that he took off. He only threw 37 punches, but he landed 16 of them and outlanded Palikte, who threw 66 and only landed 11. I think Nietes just took a round off and won it anyway.
This round, remember, just the hook, relax. Good, keep on focusing. Just straight. The jab.
Jaime Munguia featured on the Fight Games recent edition a couple of nights ago, still running on HBO On Demand and elsewhere. You can tune in and look at my long feature piece and visit with Jaime Munguia, and you'll see him in the next to last card on the big pay-per-view card next Saturday night. He will be fighting against a challenger named Brandon Cook, defending his 154-pound title. And if you have not seen Jaime Munguia, he is as exciting as any young fighter in the sport, as a high-risk, go for the gold kind of puncher with a tremendous athletic ability. And now we come to round number 10, and let's see if Donnie Nietes, after having had a relatively slow round in the 9th, puts together a big round here in the 10th. But meanwhile, let's check in with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman. Harold, how do you have this one through 9?
Okay, Jim, I got it 7 rounds to 2. Let's see, 48...
88-83.
Hang on a second, yeah. 88-83 is right in favor of Donnie Nietes. Jim, I think he's winning virtually every round, but they're close. The fight is a darn good fight, to tell you the truth, no huge rounds for either guy. I think Nietes is winning all the rounds, but I think he's winning them close, hard-fought rounds. 8 rounds to 2, Donnie Nietes.
So we come to the 10th of Schedule 12.
Nietes in the last round, I thought iced it at the end of the round with some big pot shots, but Palikte did a lot of what he's doing in this round in the last round up until the end, which is kept his hands busy enough. Nice left hook by Nietes, but then see what Palikte does, comes back right. Oh!
Quick left hook for Nietes.
Yeah, Palikte's got his chin on a platter. Every time he throws and punches down at the shorter Nietes, he's got his chin right up in the air. Better believe that Nietes sees this. He's trying to time that chin, and he's ultimately, like I said earlier, trying to knock the young fighter out. He's not, and he's up on points, but I don't think he's trying to necessarily outpoint him. He wants to knock him out.
I think that's true, too. He scored a 7th round knockout of Juan Carlos Reveco on our last previous Superfly edition. It was the same kind of thing where he accumulated punishment throughout the fight and then stepped up the pressure to produce the 7th round TKO. This has been a more difficult fight for him against Aston Palikte. The challenge has been obvious against a taller, longer-armed opponent who may actually have more one-punch punching power, but Nietes has been picking him apart, using his brain, using his feet, using his craft, and working him throughout the fight. And I agree with you, Andre. He would rather end it with a knockout than go for a decision.
That seems to... I also agree with Andre. It seems to have been Nietes' plan all along. Not that he was content just to win on points, but he saw this big target and thought, I'm gonna set him up, undress him, wear him down, knock him out. Whether he gets it or not remains to be seen. He's got another round to do it, but that seems to have been the attempt.
Jack Dempsey against Jess Willard. It's just gone
6 minutes.
9 rounds longer.
Don, mau lang na. More na siya dun. Matay lang. Wala na. Discouraged siya.
I think he's discouraged now.
Ayaw kumpiyansa.
You have confidence now.
Focus, dua, dia.
Focus. Focus. Just go straight. Target, okay? Keep on the target. Focus.
Focus.
Just keep on focusing.
Jab.
Here we see Donnie Nietes lulling the young man to sleep, throwing him a flick jab, and he hits him right smack dab on the chin. And Palikte definitely felt that, and he followed that up with a leaping left hook, the same left hook, Jim, that I said he should stop throwing. He proved me wrong right there. He landed it flush on the face of Palikte.
11. Stay there.
Floyd Patterson
11.
jumping left
11.
hook.
Hold up. Box.
Round 11 of a scheduled 12. And you heard all the encouragement in Donnie Nietes' corner from his enthusiastic cornerman. It's been fascinating all the way through the fight to watch Nietes mix distances. Sometimes I'm out here where you cannot reach me even with those long arms. Sometimes I'm going to step inside those arms.
You know something else, guys, though, and Nietes has been forced to go to a subtle enough variation of his style, and again, this may be partially age-related, that he's lacked the aesthetic appeal that he's had in a lot of his title fights, where he's been able to impose himself more readily, and his boxing ability jumped out at you more. And this happens to great boxers as they get older. They can still figure out a way to get it done. But the entertainment value of what they're offering, unless you're a real boxing fanatic, is not quite what it once was.
But anybody who has a win streak like Nietes, whether it's age or whether it's his opponent, you're going to have nights like this. You're going to have nights where you look less than stellar, but you get it done. And then you're going to have another night where you go out there like he did his last fight, and it's a spectacular performance. I think he's okay with accepting the variation of wins and performances that he's shown.
You're assuming...
in order to keep the streak going.
You're assuming... Sure, but you're assuming that or it sounds like you're assuming he's, you know, fighting on a kind of in a never-ending continuum at the same level. In fact, as fighters age, they get less effective and they have to make adjustments in order to continue winning, and that's what I'm asking here. Are we seeing that phase of Nietes' career right now?
Well, I'll tell you what I think about that. I wouldn't put him in with Srisaket Sorongvisai. I don't think I would want to see him attempt Srisaket Sorongvisai.
So what does that tell you?
Sorongvisai is a physical force. He is a tidal wave physically, and I'm not sure that.
What about 2 fights ago?
That.
What about 2 fights ago?
Might have been different.
Now, so that tells you what you need to know.
But I think we're making Nietes old overnight, and I don't know if it's just a phase that he's going into or if it's just this particular.
That's right. It's hard to say because he's in with a very tall, difficult, physical opponent. But, you know, as to Jim's point, Sorongvisai is also not tall, but physically difficult.
He's a bull. He has spectacular strength. And it shows in his punching power. And, of course, I'm sure that Donnie Nietes would say, oh, no, Jim, you're wrong. And I can beat Srisaket Sorongvisai. Put me in right now.
Of course he feels like that.
Against Riveco in his last time out, Nietes delivered kind of a real entertainment value that he hasn't delivered in this fight.
1 round to go in this one, and in our next fight, we'll be seeing the guy who openly craves a meeting with Srisaket Sorongvisai. That's Juan Francisco Estrada, who is something more of a physical force at this stage of his career.
This is the round. Good. Just counter it. Counter it. Just keep on countering it. You're there. Yeah, just charge. Just go ahead. Body shot and carry. Once you do the uppercut, do the body shot. Okay, just alternate them.
And we come to round 12. Donnie Nietes, as Andre Ward mentioned early in this fight, is on a 14-year win streak. Hasn't lost since 2004. And you try to think of a fighter who had a longer win streak than 14 years, and I'm thinking of Andre Ward, who had a 19-year win streak.
19 and a half.
19 and a half.
Who's counting?
You made a baseball analogy earlier, Jim.
Yes.
How you set up a hitter, hitters the second time through the lineup you have to change.
Yeah.
Pitchers, as they age and they lose the fastball, they have to nibble at the corners more. And Nietes never really had a fastball. He was never a real one-punch knockout type of guy. He always had to nibble at corners, but he did it so masterfully. Now he has to cut those corners even finer. And he seems to be at that stage of his career, to me, at least. I'm making that educated guess based on what I'm seeing tonight and based on his age according to the calendar, where he can still be effective and those kind of pitchers can still win you a big playoff game, but not the same way they could when they were younger.
Well, not every opponent is going to be 7 years younger and 5 inches taller.
That's right.
And, and that's what he's had to deal with tonight.
Good point, Jim.
Crowd is getting impatient. They wanted to see fireworks rather than technicianship. And now, obviously, Nietes has decided to rely on technicianship here in the closing rounds.
Now Nietes.
Until he lands those 2 right hands and the left hook. And surprises Aston Felicte.
Nietes has a minute to close the show strong.
Nietes is looking for the right, and he wants to clean it up with the hook right there. Looking for the right,
wants that
clean it up with the hook.
He still far prefers to close the show if he can.
He ain't nibbling at corners right now. This is the hard cheese.
It's amazing how he changes momentum from moment to moment. Donnie Nietes putting on a 12th round show now as he tortures Aston Palikte with power shots and tries to finish him off.
That's the beauty of boxing. The older guy, the mid-30s guy, has the younger guy, the stronger guy, the bigger guy surviving down the stretch in the 12th round. How does that happen?
He's taken enough starch out of Palikte that now he can step in. There's no risk for him anymore. He's in control of this, both physically and emotionally at this point in the fight.
And that's the mastery on display. Knowing when.
Palikte at first didn't want to give credit to the old man, and now Nietes manages to gather him into an embrace. They're both from the same province in the Philippines, and Nietes is saying, come on, we're friends. You know we're friends. We're still friends. And Palikte is thinking, well, we used to be friends, but that wasn't exactly nice.
That's not the way you treat your friend.
That's not the way you treat your elders either.
It seems to me to be a wide win. I agree. Nietes, and I think a good performance by Palikte. Andre, were you anticipating Palikte would make the distance?
I did not.
Going into the fight?
For multiple reasons, but I was impressed not just by his punching power. We knew he had that. More so with his conditioning that he held up physically, even though he got weak down the stretch.
No. 9 rounds to 3 on Harold Letterman's unofficial scorecard. 117-111 for Donnie Nietes. I think it's abundantly clear. These are the official judges. Max DeLuca's a veteran. Robert Hoyle's a veteran. Danny Sandoval, only 5 title fights. But with Hoyle and DeLuca there, you fully expect to see solid, sane scorecards that will be in favor of the guy who clearly won the fight. And Donnie Nietes' 14-year win streak continues. Only 5.5 years away from catching Andre Ward.
Oh, my goodness. Does he have that many years left in him?
He didn't get started when he was 12 years old. That was the key to your entire thing, you know.
I had a head start.
You had a head start. You've retired at an age where you can enjoy your children. Mm-hmm. Don't even have to wait for grandchildren. And ring announcer Joe Martinez leans forward to let us know that he's ready with the official decision. So let's go to him to see who has won the fight and by what margin.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of boxing, we go to the judges' scorecards, and here are the totals. Robert Hoyle has it 116, 112 Palikte. Daniel Sandoval, 118, 110 for Nietes. And Judge Max DeLuca has it 114, 114 for a split draw.
Just when I'm telling you that I expect sanity from that judging panel and that we're going to see the expected Nietes decision, we get a draw.
It's a bad decision.
I don't understand that one bit.
It's a bad decision. It was a 16-12 kind of fight, but for Nietes.
Easily.
16-12, 17-11, something like that.
Easily.
8-4, 9-3. But I could see a range of scores for Palikte giving him between 2 and 4 rounds, something like that. Call it 9-3. It was a
judge I very much respect. Fight. Robert Hoyle, who saw it 116, 112 for Palikte. I just don't get it. CompuBox numbers in the fight will show you what we think is a highly one-sided fight, as Donnie Nietes lands 70 more punches by CompuBox count, throws 307 fewer punches by CompuBox count, and therefore lands at a 22% higher percentage. I mean, anybody should have been able to see that Pelikte was not landing the vast majority of his shots. Power punches, Nietes lands 23 more, throws 142 fewer, and therefore lands at nearly twice the connect percentage. The precision was visible when Nietes would step inside and land his right hand. Jabs, Nietes lands 47 more, throws 165 fewer, and therefore lands at nearly 5 times